It's no secret that World War I was violent in a way no conflict before it had ever been. Centered in Europe, the Allied powers, featuring countries such as France, Britain, Russia, and eventually the United States, clashed in bloody trench battles with the Central Powers, Germany and Austria-Hungary. Only, humans weren't the only ones doing the fighting. Over 16 million animals served in the war in wide-ranging roles as messengers, supply carriers, and poison detectors. If it wasn't for the help of animals, who knows how the tide of the war may have turned. There may be no Medal of Honor for our furry friends, but that doesn't mean they didn't serve their countries nobly. Here are 15 examples of animals who entered the fray and kicked some butt in the process. Togo, the naval mascot. If you were a sailor on the Royal Navy's HMS Dreadnought, you may have seen this furball strutting his stuff on one of the ship's enormous guns. Togo may have never launched a torpedo by his own paw, but he did help boost sailor morale. The fox cub mascot. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a flying fox? Your eyes aren't fooling you. This really is a fox cub in a plane. This young fox kept spirits high among the men fighting with Britain's No. 32 Squadron. Camel gurneys. World War I saw casualties pile up everywhere, and the northwest frontier of India was no different. Without ambulances to pick up wounded soldiers, the armies called on animals to do the dirty work. Camels transported injured and dying men to safety and medical attention. France's Red Cross dogs. Nearly 20,000 canines served in World War I, each contributing to a slew of operations. Some dogs delivered messages, others sniffed out enemy soldiers. There were dogs who carried aid to wounded soldiers, and dogs who pulled machine guns and heavy equipment. Dogs were so important to the war effort that, in 1917, Britain opened the War Dog School of Instruction. Gas-defying horses. On the Western Front, chemical and gas weapons reaped death and destruction wherever they were spread. To navigate gas-infected battlefields, soldiers rode atop gas mask-donning horses. This allowed quick maneuvering away from dangers while keeping the horses' lungs healthy. Mortar gun monkey. When enemy combatants holed up in deep trenches during battle, armies resorted to mortars, high-flying explosives, to flush them out. The 3rd Army Trench Mortar School, where soldiers learned to use the devices, had a monkey mascot. This begs the question, if you gave a room full of monkeys a room full of mortar guns, could they turn the tide of war? The mule. Mules may not be pictured with all the majestic glory that many associate with their stepfather counterparts, horses, but in World War I, they were truly important. The British Army had over 213,000 mules by the end of the war, because they saw great value in the beast's strength, stamina, and tolerance towards harsh conditions. Trench cats. Experts estimate that over 500,000 felines filled out the ranks of World War I armies. Besides being cute little furballs amid a gory battle, the cats killed rats in the trenches and served as gas detectors. Here, a gunner from the York and Lancaster Regiment posed with a cat in a trench near France. Carrier pigeons. No one is quite sure how pigeons are so effective at finding their way home, though some experts suspect pigeons use the Earth's magnetic fields to navigate. Regardless of how they did their jobs, they did them effectively. With speed, altitude capabilities, and an impeccable sense of direction, pigeons could deliver messages quickly while avoiding capture. Telephone wire dog. For work that was too dangerous for humans to do, armies called on canines to get their paws dirty. This dog laid telephone wire down for the Germans in 1917, walking across muddy terrain to do so. Messy mules. Useful as mules were to armies, they provided quite the challenge for animal handlers. They needed 20 pounds of grain per day each, and that wasn't always easy to come by on a battlefield. Still, armies ensured that the animals were well cared for, even making sure to scrape mud off animals who were more than a little dirty. Gas-proof pigeons. When gas attacks happened, soldiers' lives depended on their preparedness. and so did the animals. In what appears to be a gas attack safety drill, these soldiers didn't forget about the birds. They stuck their regiment's carrier pigeons into gas-proof containers. The kindly camel. For animals used in war, camels didn't display a whole lot of outward aggression, as evidenced by this Australian man sticking his hand in the camel's mouth with little issue. Still, the animals proved useful on the front lines. In 1916, the British Empire launched the Imperial Camel Corps Brigade, a camel-mounted infantry group used to fight in the Middle East. Messenger mutts. As mentioned, dogs acted as messengers during the war, stealing a bit of glory from the pigeons. They were fast, easy to train, and small targets for gunfire, which made them better fits for messenger duty than any human. For instance, one record shows a messenger pooch carried a message 2.5 miles through the Western Front over very difficult terrain in less than an hour. That's a good boy. Horses on Pilcomb Ridge. Horses had the size, strength, and agility to serve admirably on the battlefield. Soldiers loaded this gas mask-wearing horse up with supplies like ammunition. Horses were so important to the war effort that, by 1917, armies considered the loss of a horse a greater tactical concern than the loss of a soldier.